Welcome, everybody, to 3 Steps to Launching a Cannabis Wellness Business. We are going to give a few seconds for everybody to pop on in. And in the meantime, I would love to know a few things from you. The first one is, where are you coming from in the world? We get people coming to this class from all around the world. And so I'd love to know where you're at. The second thing I'd love to know is where you're at on your cannabis journey. So are you just starting out? Have you gone pro? Did you hear of this and maybe you're new to cannabis, but you're like, I know I want to go here. I want to be with these folks. I want to learn this stuff. Right? So where are you at in your cannabis journey? And the third one is, where did you hear about this from? How did you get here today? Did you come in through Wake and Bake or through Andrea's work at Reveal Cannabis? Did you come in through, I don't know, like a viral Instagram reel that just blew up in the last 48 hours? And again, while you guys are putting all that in, I just wanted to let you know a few things, just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. The first is that nothing that we share here is legal or medical advice. It's not even professional advice. Andrea and I are just here to share what we've learned and what we know, but we are not doctors and we are not lawyers. And so anytime you try something new, always check with a lawyer, always check with a doctor before doing so. Well, welcome everybody to 3 Steps to Launching a Cannabis Wellness Business. Again, I'm Corinne Tobias. I'm the founder of the Cannabis Institute and Wake and Bake. And I've been doing this class for a long time. I've been teaching this same class, 3 Steps to Launching a Cannabis Wellness Business, for 8 years now. And it's not been the same class, but it's always used the same name. So I don't know, maybe it's just because I don't want to change the names on the emails or whatever, but I just haven't switched it. And we always change the contents of the class and refresh it every year. So this is brand new to 2026. We've updated everything. And if I were to give this class a new name this year, right now, it would be How to Help Others Heal with Cannabis. And the reason that I would change it to that is because I know that so many of us are feeling called to do that work. And I'm sure that's why so many of you are here. Yes, because you want to help others get healthier with cannabis. Some of you are sharing right now with your personal journey, the reason that you're interested in cannabis, that's helped you in some way. And I think some of us are really seeing that there's a huge need to fill right now in the cannabis industry. Now, just to be clear, for those of you who found me on that Instagram reel and are new to my work and are new to this class, maybe just popped over here because you saw a story right now, this class isn't going to be about the mechanics or the science of cannabis, right? So this class is going to be about building a cannabis wellness business, a business that's focused primarily on helping others understand this plant as medicine. And so I just wanted to be clear about that because we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of cannabis. But I did promise in that reel, for those of you who did see it, that I was going to share with you everything that I've learned in the past 13 years about working with this plant as medicine and helping others with it. And the first thing that I want to share with you before we even get started, the one thing that I know to be true is that when you decide to choose to fill the massive gap in the cannabis industry that currently exists, that is more important and more helpful to people than learning the mechanics or learning the science behind this plant, right? The gap that I'm talking about is the gap between bud tenders and doctors, right? And this huge gap. Think about it this way. Doctors, about 80% of oncologists have said that their patients ask them about cannabis, and only 30% say that they feel confident in helping them. So what do? They refer their patients to a bud tender. And bud tenders tell me over and over again that they are primarily trained in product selection, right? They're selling products. The number one product is smokable flower. The number two product they sell are vaporizers, vape carts. So they are trained to talk about those products. They're not trained to talk about how cannabis can help someone heal or how cannabis works in the human body. So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with this huge gap that patients fall into, where they're trying a bunch of different things that may or may not work, where they're only trying high T medicine that might not work for their condition or might not be the best option for them, right? So there's that gap. And there's also another gap. There's the gap between people who love this plant and use it and people who use it as medicine. So 83% of people who used cannabis last year said they use it recreationally only. 17% said that they used it as a medicine. Now, what would happen if enough information got out there to switch those numbers? And 83% of people who worked with this plant were using it as medicine. So there's that gap as well. Or, and this is my least favorite gap, this is the biggest one for me, and that's the 53% of Americans who have never touched this plant and who won't think about it because they're scared, confused, or misinformed, right? So these are the gaps that we're talking about filling. And again, I know that if you decide to step into this role of filling this gap to help people with this plant, help them understand it as medicine and how to heal, that is going to be worth its weight in gold because you'll learn better, you'll learn more, you'll share that information more. And I know that you'll take the information that you learn about this plant and you will go on to help hundreds of thousands and maybe even millions of people. And I know that because we've seen it time and time again at the Cannabis Institute. And that's what I'm here to show you today. That's what I'm here to teach you. Okay? Yeah? Thumbs up? Are we down? Okay, awesome. So excited that you're all here with us today. So I do want to let you know that this class isn't for everyone, right? And I know it can be embarrassing if you wander into the wrong class, so I want to let you know who exactly this class is for. This class is for you if you've had a transformational experience with cannabis and you want to help others do the same. Is that you? Raise your hand, give me a thumbs up. If you want to do more than just bud tend or grow plants in the backyard, you want to make an impact on your community and do something meaningful. Yes? Yes? If you're ready to go pro, again, this is about going professional. It's about building a business. So if you want to start or up-level your career in the cannabis industry, okay? You already know that cannabis is a powerful tool for health and wellness. It's okay if you don't know how it works. It's okay if you're not a cannabis expert, but you know that it works and you're ready to learn more and you're ready to deepen your experience and your knowledge. So if that's you, if those resonated with you, then in the next 60 minutes, we're going to teach you how to launch a thriving independent cannabis business in the cannabis industry without having to jump through huge complicated hoops, make overhead investments, or take a dead-end job. I'm also going to share with you what people are doing as coaches and educators that is successful today and what's been working for years, so you don't get distracted by all these opportunities that are a flash in the pan, or you don't try to make it up on your own. And this is my favorite part. This is the most exciting part to me. You're actually going to leave this with a plan for your business so that you can launch faster without freezing up or getting stuck. We are actually going to sit down, put pen to paper, and create a plan very quickly for you. And you're going to leave and go, I know exactly what I want to do to fill this gap for people. That sound good? So my promise to you is that after this class, you'll leave here feeling confident to turn your passion for this plant into a successful business that helps people heal and feel better. And this includes you too, right? You can't learn about this plant without it changing your own life and your own health. So for those of you who are like, I am new or I'm still just trying to figure it out, that's part of this process as well. So I just want to check in. Have you experienced any of the following? Let me know in the chat. Have you wanted to work in with cannabis for a while now, but you're not sure where to start? Anybody feeling that? Yes, okay. Are you concerned that you don't know the science behind this plant or have enough experience or credibility to talk to others about it? Do you get that like, I want to say something. Somebody just told me that they can't sleep, but I don't exactly know what to say. Yes, okay. All right. It's totally normal. Have you ever worried what people will think if you decided to start a business in cannabis? Maybe your kids' teachers, maybe your dad, maybe even your partner or your judgmental Aunt Donna. Do you want to help people with cannabis without getting stuck in a bud tending job? You know, making 15 or 20 bucks an hour. Are you worried that if you start helping others with cannabis, you might say or do something illegal? This is one that we've heard over and over and over again, especially for those of you who might be living in prohibition states or countries. Is that something major? Yeah, we get this one a lot. Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. Are you concerned that if you started a cannabis business that you might fail, that you just don't know what to do? You think it might just fall flat. You might run out there and then just be like, wah, wah. Venus says, want to be well prepared. Heck yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I have such great news for you. Again, I'm really excited that you're here if any of those resonated with you, because after you follow these 3 steps that we're going to get through in the next 60 minutes, I know for a fact that you'll be able to confidently step out into the world as a cannabis professional, knowing what you can and can't say to keep things legal and ethical. You'll wake up to messages from people thanking you for helping them transform their lives. Andrea and I have this happen on a regular basis. It is literally the best part of this job. You'll go to sleep knowing that the work you're doing is making a real difference in the world by changing hearts and minds and getting this plant back into people's medicine cabinets, back into their kitchens, back into their gardens, right where it belongs. And once you take these steps, you'll deeply understand how this plant works as a medicine and be able to communicate that clearly. Right? You can know so much about cannabis, but if you don't know how to talk about it in a way that connects with people, their eyes will glaze over. It's not going to connect. They'll go, right? You'll be able to create a business that you love waking up to every day, one that people need, and then you'll be ready for all of the opportunities available as this industry continues to grow and evolve. I really like to say that like you can't put the toothpaste back in a tube when it comes to cannabis. Like the cannabis industry and the amount of people who are working with cannabis is never going to be smaller than it is today. It's growing worldwide, right? So you'll be ready for that. So how do I know all this stuff? Well, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Corinne, and I've been through these 3 steps personally. From the time I was a teenager, I lived for years with chronic pain and was obese and anxious. So I came to this plant first as a patient. That's me on the left there when I was a young. And back then, the medical system prescribed me a fistful of daily prescription drugs. Opiates, stimulants, antidepressants, anti-inflammatories, antifungals, antibiotics, and more. So I was one of those people who was just literally just trying to do whatever I could to chase the symptoms and to make myself feel better, right? I was also binge drinking. I was also smoking tobacco. I was also eating cruddy food, right? And that was the way I was living. That's the way I thought I was. I thought that I was broken. I thought that I was sick. But luckily for me, one day somebody told me that this plant was medicine. And within 2 weeks of working with it differently, I got off all the pills. So it was just knowing how to work with it differently that changed everything for me. So I learned very quickly that knowledge is power, especially when it comes to this plant. Okay. And then in less than a couple of years, I lost the weight and I've kept it off ever since. So that was a cool bonus. And after that happened, I could not shut the fuck up about it. I could not stop talking about it. I was like, everyone has to know about this. So I wrote a cookbook, and then I launched the popular cannabis edibles blog, Wake and Bake. So I wrote the cookbook when Colorado went recreational in 2012, and it was the world's first legal cannabis cookbook. Then I built a 6-figure online cannabis wellness business, helping millions of people in under 4 years. I'm still doing this 13 years in. I feel like a very lucky duck. I've been featured in High Times, Mary Jane, Jezebel, Vice, and Westward, and I just had another publication reach out today. I went from making $0 to $500 a month to $3,500 a month, and I've even had $50,000 months just from sharing information about cannabis, never selling the plant. I've sold thousands of cookbooks and online cooking classes, and I just got 20,000 new followers on Instagram in the last 48 hours, and currently, in the past week, have figured this out, and I'm making an average of $300 a day selling my cookbooks and cooking classes on social alone. So that's pretty cool. And what I want to say is, yes, I've done all these things, and all these things are amazing, and I feel very lucky, but I'm not lucky, and I'm not special, because I'm not the only person who's done this. We're actually here with someone else who has. Meet Andrea.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Mahar. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. I've been teaching for 23 years. I believe education is the way to change the world. And I am also a certified cannabis coach and educator. And I was you. Like in January of 2018, I had a transformational experience with the plant and I couldn't figure it out. And I found Corinne's blog and I saw that she was starting this program to become a cannabis coach and educator. And I was a burnt out teacher at the time, no interest in creating a business at all. But I also could not shut up about this plant after I made it work for me. So with no plans for any of this at the beginning, I have been coaching clients one-to-one and delivering workshops both in person and online. I've also created quite a few classes online, including the first ever online class about how to talk to your kids about cannabis. I ran a local cannabis club in my tiny little town for several years. I started a YouTube channel that has a significant following right now. I planned a sold out women's retreat where our focus was on cannabis and breath work and yoga. And it was like delicious. I've presented on stages. And the thing I'm probably most proud of is I was hired by a medical cannabis company to design a curriculum to help teach their doctors about the medical benefits of cannabis. So, from somebody who, I wasn't into science and I never thought I would do this. It's been great looking back on all of this, including co hosting the Wake and Bake podcast with the lovely Corinne. And I am also the program director at the Cannabis Institute. And over these past 8 years for me, I've helped close to 1 million people feel better with the power of this plant. And again, not any plan to do this and no training in how to do any of this. And it's beautiful to think about that impact that I've had because I started this business. And I'm also not special, right? I was just a teacher in Ontario, hanging out, feeling better with this plant. And once you have this passion, and I can see it in all your likes and thumbs up, you have to talk about it too, and we want you to. And the way that you're going to do that, hopefully, is going to be the kickoff tonight. So we're going to get into our 3 steps. I put the link in the chat for the workbook. You can print it out now, or if you have time later on, I just put it in again. And if you don't have the workbook, no worries at all. You can just grab a pen and a piece of paper, and we really encourage you to do that because we have seen so many people come out of this particular class and be able to launch their cannabis wellness business. So you can do this too. I'm going to start with step 1. And step 1 is about telling your story. I'm sure it mattered for you when you heard about Corinne's journey from chronic pain and just assuming her life was like that to now being out there helping millions of people. Right now, she's in Mexico, living her best life, traveling around the country. And you understanding your cannabis story and being able to talk about it in a way that resonates with other people is so important when you're thinking about starting a business in this space for a couple of different reasons. We know from studies that humans connect with story so much more powerfully than any other form of communication. We know that stories are about 22 times more memorable than just telling facts. And like I have tried to just like tell people facts. Did you know you have an endocannabinoid system? They don't care. That endocannabinoid system has to be somehow connected to what they know about me. Because we're in this era right now where it's really hard to gain trust, especially when we're talking online. So, sharing a little bit about yourself or sharing how this plant has personally impacted you can make a significant difference for the people that you're trying to help. They can see themselves in your story and they resonate. They want to know more because they feel a sense of trust and connection with you. I'm going to quickly encapsulate my story to see if this works. Are you going to care more about the endocannabinoid system after I tell you about why I'm here? So my story started back in 2016. I was a full-time teacher, a mom, a wife. My kids were young. I was trying to be a good neighbor and a good friend and doing all the things that I think like many women in our 30s, all the balls juggling in the air, trying to keep it all up. And I like kind of fell off a cliff into a really, really deep depression. And this is when I had like, again, 2 little boys at home. And suddenly I wasn't able to go to work. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning to get my kids ready for school. And I didn't know what to do. I'd never been in this state before. And so I tried literally everything I could think of to get all the things I could think of to get better. So I went to my doctor. I went to a therapist. I exercised. I took supplements. I went on medication. I did meditation. I did literally anything that you can think of, and nothing was moving the needle. I was still deeply depressed. And that year, my mom, of all people, gave me, I always say it's a bag of cannabis, but it wasn't. It was like a big Tupperware container of cannabis, all wrapped up in a bag with some tape. And she said, "Hey, I think you should try this." And I said, "Absolutely not. That's insane. I'm a mother. I'm a teacher. Like only stoner moms do that. I would never." And I stayed in deep depression for about 5 more weeks. And finally, my husband and I watched a YouTube video on how to roll a joint and we tried it. And for me, honestly, on the first puff, I describe it like the clouds parted. And from this huge cloud of depression that I had been living in for so long, like Andrea was inside and I was happy and I was okay deep down in there. And so it was wonderful to feel the relief from this depression. But I could not figure it out. Like I would wait till my kids went to bed and then I'd get high and then I'd be so happy. And then the next morning I'd be super depressed again. And I obviously couldn't go to work high. And I wanted to make this work in my life. So I talked to my doctor. I said, yo, this is working for me. I can't figure it out. And she said, I don't know what to do. I'll send you to the cannabis doctor. The cannabis doctor gave me a prescription and no information on how to make it work for me. And I was like really mad. And in that state of madness, I was like Googling around and I found Corinne's Wake and Bake website. I learned how to use this plant as a medicine. And here I am today, being able to teach all of these people, being able to impact all of these lives because of taking that journey. So that's my story. After that, I had to learn about the endocannabinoid system and tell everybody. And we're going to ask you now to think about your own story. And again, this doesn't have to be like long or profound. You might have a story of transformation for yourself. We saw some of them in the chat, or of somebody that you have cared for deeply. You might have been previously like nervous about cannabis and afraid to use it. And now you understand its power. Like the people who are like, I don't care if I tell people that I use cannabis. You might have been around cannabis forever. And just now you're moving from that 83% who are using it recreationally to the who are using it as a medicine, or maybe it's something completely different. So we're going to give you 3 minutes and we're going to ask you to share it in the chat in a couple of minutes if you're comfortable. And this is on page 3 in your workbook. If you'd like to put your story in the chat, we'd love to see it. Madeline says that she was in the 53% of people that had never tried it. And after a very tough divorce, I was introduced to the medicine in 2018. Over the last 7 years, my consumption has increased and evolved. I have gone through a huge spiritual shift, and it has been a grounding support. I want to help remove the stigma and help others see the wonder and versatility of that plant. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Zeke, I love Zeke share. Says, longtime heavy user, 2 kids now, cut back a few years ago and realized how much more he can get out of life if he doesn't abuse the plant. Awesome. Awesome. I love it. 2 totally opposite, right? Like coming at it from like, I would never to like, whoa. And then to like, I'm doing this all to no, I'm just gonna like back away. I just love it. I love it so much. All right, we got to I want to read all these. I will read all of these and I'm so excited to keep sharing them, but I really can't wait for this next part. We are going to plan your cannabis business in 15 minutes. Does everyone believe me? Is everyone ready? You're like, yeah, right. You're going to make a business plan in 15 minutes. I guarantee you, we're going to make a business plan in 15 minutes. How do we know this works? How do I know that you can do this so quickly? Well, we've trained 700 cannabis coaches and educators, and we've taken thousands of people through this class. And this used to be an hour-long class. And then I realized that people got way into the weeds and they started overthinking. And I was like, okay, let's shorten this up. I think we can get this in 15 minutes. And still overthinking it. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. And then now we got it into 15 minutes and we've tested it and it works. With those 700 people, we've personally spent thousands of hours with them and their content. We've helped them achieve their goals. We've marveled at what they've created. We've learned with them and through our own businesses what works and what doesn't work. That too. And we're going to help you plan in the next 15 minutes based off of things we already know work, right? We can shorten this up because all of the things that we're going to talk about today have been tested. But before we do that, I want to introduce to you the Cannabis Wellness Pioneer. A cannabis wellness pioneer is someone who views cannabis as a plant medicine and makes it their mission to help others get healthier with it, body, mind, and spirit. But this is a totally different area in the cannabis industry. And there are benefits of choosing to be a cannabis wellness pioneer. And the first thing is that you don't have to jump through all the hoops that come with plant touching businesses, right? If the laws change like they currently are, we're going to talk about that in our student call next week, your work is protected. You get to keep on teaching. So people, when all this stuff was happening, they kept asking me, Corinne, what are you going to do? The hemp industry might be changing. I was like, I'm gonna keep teaching. Like, what are you gonna do? It's schedule. They're gonna schedule the rescheduling, and I was like, I'm gonna talk about it. That's my job, right? So you get to keep doing it no matter what happens. You get to also work with humans directly to help them transform their health and lives. Again, you guys are here because you're feeling called to do that. And you can build a career working from wherever you want to be, even part-time, right? You can build that flexibility because you don't have to show up to a brick and mortar business or a plant touching business. And this is my favorite part of this work because I think it makes it the most flexible, is that it's legal everywhere, even in prohibition and tightly regulated medical states. You are legally allowed to talk and share about this plant no matter where you are in the United States, Canada, and in Mexico. I'm sure there are some other places around the world where maybe that's not the case, but we know that in those you can. So, because walking around calling yourself a cannabis wellness pioneer would feel super weird, like, what do you do? I'm a cannabis wellness pioneer. Like, no, it's weird enough to call yourself the term that we use, which is cannabis educator or cannabis coach. You have enough explaining to do with using those. You don't need to add another layer by calling yourself a cannabis wellness pioneer. Now, the term cannabis educator typically means helping the general public by sharing information about cannabis. So, teaching, right? Being an educator. A cannabis coach is someone who helps people one-on-one or even in a small group to help create a tailored approach to working with the plant medicine, right? So that's really the difference. It's like one to many and one to one. So the first decision to make in your business plan, do you want to be a cannabis wellness pioneer? There are tons of things that you can do in this world. Does this work sound like, yeah, this fits within my life. This is something I'm passionate about. And I know that I don't just want to be working with this plant. I want to be working with the people that it helps. Okay. If you know that you want to do that work, then we can do this. Then we can plan this super, super fast. This next part is going to be so quick. And we do this fast for a reason. Because in training all of those folks and being in this industry for this long, we've met thousands of people who typically fall into 3 categories. 1, shiny penny chasers. And these are folks who spend years thinking like, oh, I could do this, or maybe this, or they see something new. Oh, that person's doing this over there. And they get frozen in the decision stage. Is this you? Don't worry if it's you, it's me too. Number 2 is perfect planners. You a perfect planner? These people spend months or even years coming up with complex business plans. They get frozen in the planning stage. I have seen cannabis business plans that I am not kidding are it was like 16 inches by 12 inches and so thick, and nothing in it had ever happened. Wild. After 4 years, wild. And then we go with number 3, the wild cards, the hitchhikers. They know exactly what they want to do, but they're not sure how to do it. They get stuck waiting for a sign, waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. Like, I know I have this vision, but I don't know how to get there. Someone come get me. Yes, Megan's like, I'm a hitchhiker. Yes. Well, great. Because in the next 15 minutes, we're going to get the shiny penny folks clear. We're going to get the perfect planners shifted into action, and we're going to give the hitchhikers a map and maybe a lift. Does that sound good? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's do it. So on page 5 in your workbook, you can circle or jot down the opportunities that are most exciting to you. You can also just jot this down. And again, we're going to make this so fast. So as I walk through these things, I'm going to talk through them very quickly. I will run out of breath. Andrea was making fun of me earlier. She's like, by the time you get to this at the end, every time you're like, and it's true, because there are so many things that we've tested, so many things that we know for a fact that you can do, that you can make money doing while helping people, right? So when I'm saying these things really quickly, when you get that full body tingle, I think we all know what that feels like. Ooh, like it's exciting. Maybe it's a little scary. Maybe something else comes up. When you get that feeling, I want you to jot it down. Okay? All right, let's go. So let's talk about some things that cannabis coaches do. Again, coaching is working with people one-on-one or in small groups. They understand how cannabis works in their own unique body and people, or help people understand how cannabis works in their own unique body. They help them explore various ingestion methods. And this can include either working with a client's medical team to offer support and education, or it can just be one-on-one. Some coaches offer guided dispensary tours and in-person product selection support, right? So really going in one-on-one, maybe you're in person showing them around a dispensary, maybe you do it remote. I've done it remote my whole career, so you don't have to be in a dispensary with someone. So coaching work, working with people one-on-one. How many of you are like, yeah, coaching, I wanna help people one-on-one? All right. Now let's talk about the huge amount of things that you can do as a cannabis educator. When you start thinking this one to many, when you start thinking like, how can I teach about this plant? Here are things, and every one of these, someone has been paid to do, either Andrea, myself, or one of our 700 students. Putting on workshops, this one's huge. Cooking, growing, spiritual or meditation, alpaca themed. And I'm not kidding. Andrea put on a intro to cannabis and alpaca themed workshop that sold out. How many times, Andrea?
3.
3 times. She sold out an alpaca themed cannabis workshop. I was like, what is going on? Okay, so putting on workshops. Leading cannabis wellness retreats. Providing an education as a service for a dispensary or cannabis company. Becoming an influencer on social media, but not the annoying kind. We would never do that. Partner with doctors or wellness practitioners to support their clients. Add cannabis coaching and education to your current business. Maybe you have something that you already have going on. Maybe you already do have a dispensary or hemp company. Maybe you have a wellness business, a yoga studio. You can add cannabis education to your current business. Becoming a speaker at events, or like Andrea and some of our other students as well. Becky trained pharmacy students. We have a student that's teaching at NYU, training medical and other wellness professionals in cannabis. Okay, so you want to teach the teachers. Or you can start a cannabis club, which we will talk about later, which Andrea also did very successfully. Actually, Andrea, you crushed a lot of these. Now you can also educate online. This is what I did. You can start a blog or start a podcast. You can start a YouTube channel. You can start an affiliate marketing side hustle, making passive income by sharing about your favorite cannabis products, vaporizers, gadgets, you name it. We'll also talk about this a little more later. You can partner with brands to make sponsored posts and help cannabis brands who struggle with traditional advertising get the word out to their people. You can host online workshops and events. You can create online courses. And you can do even more. You can do creative work. These are all things down here in the bottom, things that our students have done. You can become an author like Kim Sarsons, and JJ also just wrote a book. You can write for industry publications as a freelance writer. You can develop edibles and cannabis DIY recipes, very, very popular. You can do things in your community, right? You can start a nonprofit. You can help your family and friends. You can do pro bono work in your community. And you can transform your own health and life. Okay. I think that was the slowest I've ever done that. Probably because it's late at night. I don't feel out of breath at all. All right, so out of all of those things, choose your mission. What is it that you want to do in the world? So on page 6 in your workbook, circle your top 3 opportunities, and then select the one that you're most excited about and share it in the chat. We'll give you a couple minutes to do this, to think on it. If you already know, pop it in the chat. What is it that you want to do? Oh, I see you perfect planners out there going, well, I don't know. Pick one. One-on-one, Zeke. Retreats and workshops, yes. Help educate physicians. Awesome, Sarah. Michelle's feeling very called out. That's right. You are being called out. Pick one. You can always change, right? We're not going to pour concrete on ourselves. All of us have done a lot of different projects, but it starts with one. Starts with one thing. What was exciting when I said it? One-on-one, community education, help educate people. One-on-ones, yes. Run classes. Yes. Education to go along with current business. Madeline, love that. What's your current business? I'd love to know more. Teach the medical world. Oh, yes. One-on-one, spiritual trauma-informed, shadow work. Oh, yes. Workshops and edibles. Train. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Yes. So many of you want to work one-on-one. I'm so thrilled. Yes. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay. All right. Next step. What do you see your business becoming this year? Now that you know you want to work one-on-one, now that you know you want to train doctors, how are you going to measure success? So this year in 2026, I'll be successful when I've helped one client feel better with cannabis, or 4, or 10. Maybe you're ambitious. You want to help the people. Maybe you've launched your YouTube channel and you have a 6-part series for cannabis for anxiety. Maybe you've grown your social media following and gained 10,000 followers, 20,000. Maybe your first workshop sold out and you made $600, which is, again, something that Andrea did in her tiny town. Okay, Megan says, that's where you get stuck. You don't know how to do these things. If anybody else feeling stuck, making a goal, start small. If you said help one-on-one, help people one-on-one, help one person. Help one person. All right. We did it. We did it, everybody. Put it in the chat. Megan does one-on-one already. Megan, you can already incorporate it. Awesome. Okay. All right. I love it. What's your one goal for 2026? Oh, yes. 3 clients in 2026, Ben. Yes. Madeline's going to help one person. Work with doctors. All right. You did it. You have a plan. This is, you guys, this is all you need. You need a thing that you're going to do and a goal. That is all you need. I know that sounds so silly and you want to make it more complicated than that. I'm going to tell you after doing this for this long, you do not need more than that. And please don't make it more complicated.
The plant needs us, right? The plant needs what you want to do out there. And so many people get stopped by all the what ifs and the nervous Nellies, but the plant needs us to be out there saying the truth about her. And your people need to hear you. So yeah, start small. Start with one person if that's where you're at, but start. Especially these guys. You have such great, I'm so excited for you.
I know. I'm so excited for everyone who's in this class right now. And they're all like helping, like, you got this, everybody. Like, yeah, the energy is so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. But you know what? So many of you are saying, but there's this that I don't have, and I don't know this, and I don't need this. And that's why I'm going to pass this off to Andrea for step 3, because yes, those things are going to come up as soon as you say, I want to do this, and here's my goal. Everything in your critter brain, everything in your brain is going to set off alarm bells and go like, oh no, we can't do this for this reason, this reason, this reason. And that's why we have step 3. Okay.
Yeah. Step 3 is get going. I believe this from the depths of my soul that we need to be talking about this plant so that other people can have these transformations. If we don't get going, if you don't do the thing, and a year from now or 6 months from now, you see that Corinne's having the 3 steps to launching your cannabis wellness business again, because she still didn't change the name. All of those people didn't get helped. You didn't get helped. Your granny didn't get helped. Yeah, they need help. We all need help. So get going, but we don't recommend doing it alone. We highly recommend getting trained and finding your people. You don't just wake up knowing this stuff. Corinne didn't wake up knowing it. I sure as hell didn't. Corinne taught me a whole bunch, and we continue to teach others about this. And they are a roadmap to shortcuts. Businesses are hard to start. They're hard to maintain. They're hard to keep going. If you can have the shortcuts to get that business up off the ground, that's a huge leg up for you and for the people who need to hear your message. They also narrow you in, right? We teach a lot at the Cannabis Institute about the health and wellness benefits of the plant. And then there's other trainings that might teach about growing, for example. Here, you're going to want to like narrow in on what you're doing, because you can get really lost in the cannabis weeds where you're like, oh, I'll do that and that and that and that. And that doesn't help. Trainings connect you with peers and mentors. So, so important. And in this industry, maybe above most others, credibility is so important. This is an industry that's nascent, brand new, and having certification behind you allows you to access opportunities that otherwise you might not have access to. We really hope that you will invest in a training program that will show you how to do all of these things. Corinne created the Cannabis Institute because there was a huge gap in the knowledge between what she was trying to share with people and all the people who needed that knowledge. So she created the Cannabis Institute so that she could train people to do all of these things. And these are really important. You have to understand the ins and outs of how this plant works in the human bodies. You have to know the how and the why. You need to be able to talk and write about cannabis in a way that builds trust, because people can take what they learn from you and use it in their lives to create transformation. You definitely want a training that teaches you how to monetize your knowledge, your content, your thoughts on this plant, so that you can start a side hustle, or maybe quit your day job, or maybe you're building the newest cannabis empire, any one of those things. You need to know how to monetize. You need to be able to have a training that shows you how to make content that is shareable. That's huge, and trustworthy. You want to avoid the most common mistakes that people make. And there are a few. I couldn't believe it when we were on like year 2 and 3 of training people. I was like, oh, Everyone does that when they start a business, especially things like navigating social media and naming your company. You want your training program to show you how to launch your business confidently and quickly so that you're not stuck in that, frozen state, not doing anything. You want to be able to step out into the world knowing that you're doing the work that's right for you, and you're not having to ride that roller coaster that what Corinne was talking about in policy changes. Speaking of policy changes, your training definitely needs to teach you about the legalities of teaching about this plant and the ethical guidelines so that you don't kind of step out of your lane and say or do something that you shouldn't be saying or doing. And you also definitely need that community. It is very likely that you are the only person in your circle, in your community, in your town that is this passionate about this plant and wants to share it with others. So coming together with other people who are automatically your people is so powerful and allows you to create connections that you otherwise couldn't.
We promised that we would show you how to launch a successful business helping others get healthier with this plant. Plan your future business and figure out what's possible and what you need in order to get started. Okay. Do we do all those? Did we? Do you feel like you have a plan? Do you know how to move forward? Well, now you have a choice, right? You can go, like, see you later. If you're like, okay, I have everything I need. This is exactly what I need to get out of this class. Like, and go out and do the thing. Please do the thing. People need your help. This plant needs your help. If you're feeling called to do this work, now is the time. It really is.
If you are on your way out, if you're like, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to go. We didn't leave you high and dry. In your workbook on page 8 and 9, there is a list of things that you need to check off in order to get your business up and running. So make sure that you print out the workbook and get out there, do the thing. Please write us and tell us about it. We can't wait to hear about you.
Or you could
get trained.
Get trained.
So there are other training programs. Maybe you've seen them out there. What we sure have, we've been watching them for 8 years kind of come and go. What we know for a fact is that none of these programs are run by people who are actually out there doing the work that they're teaching you how to do. Everything in our program is a direct result of the stuff that we have been doing out in the world, and we're trying to make it easier for you to do it so that this plant can be well loved everywhere. None of the other programs focus on the medicinal and health benefits of this plant. None of the other training programs teach their students how to run businesses. We know that because we get emails all the time from people who say, I went here, it was a good program, but I don't know what to do with it. I have all this knowledge. I have no idea how to share it and turn this into a business. Can you help? No other program offers lifetime support and networking for their graduates. We hang out with our graduates multiple times a year so that we have this community of people who care about the plant. We can support each other in our endeavors. None of them have the extensive track record of success with their graduates. We have an insane graduation rate, and our graduates go off to do wild things, and you will too. And none of them have the you'll make your investment back guarantee. And for people who are concerned about this, and I saw it in the chat, right? Like, I'm not really sure. We'd give you everything that you need to get started. And if you're out there for 6 months and it's the struggle bus, we will help you until you're out there making your investment back. Nobody else offers that on the market. But Corinne created this for me and for you, and she's going to tell you about it.
Thanks, Andrea. So we've created the Cannabis and Coach and Educator Dual Certification Program, which, again, Andrea said it. It gives you everything that you need. It is internationally accredited. It is dual certification. So no matter what you picked on that list, or if you were like flopping back and forth between helping people one-on-one or wanting to do a one-to-many approach and teach people, you can do both. Right? We want to make sure that you can get out there and work with this plant in a way that's going to help people in the way that you're interested in today, tomorrow, and a year from now, and 10 years from now, right? So you have all these resources. Again, we've trained over 700 students since 2018. We've done this. This is not new. This is a tested program. Now, the first thing that you're going to get when you sign up is a certified cannabis coach and educator orientation. It is not orientation. It is very fun to be in here because you get instant access to the online community. So all the students are in one place. We get together, we share wins, we share what's going on. It's where you share your homework as well. And you'll also get an orientation module that is designed to set you up for success in the program and also in your business. I cannot tell you how much the things I'm going to tell you about in just a second. Like people come back 6 months later, 10 years later, and they're like, that thing that we learned in orientation has changed everything. And it's the only way I can run my business in my life now. And what I'm talking about is what we call the Success Primer series. And that includes time management mastery and the productivity primer. Right. Again, you get lifetime access to the Cannabis Institute community, but these two things in the Success Primer are going to serve you forever. So for those of you who are like, I've tried every way of managing my time on the planet. Yeah, me too. I've tried to be productive. Yeah, me too. But we have really been working with these again over the past 8 years and refined this process so that it quickly gets you into the headspace of thinking about structuring your life so that you can be supporting others. Because if our life isn't, we're not in this good flow with time and with our own productivity, it's really, really difficult to support others. And so Heather said, I had no idea how I was going to fit this all in with a full-time job that took up 3/4 of her life. She learned that you can do a lot in a small amount of time. And with just a little bit of time each week, it's amazing what you can do. And now I share that with my clients when they're feeling overwhelmed. This is something that we all end up sharing with our clients.
All right. After orientation, you get to hang out with me for a few weeks. The first part of the training is the science. We talk about cannabis and how it works in the human body, but in a deep way, but not in a nerdy science way that that's going to be too hard for you or it's going to be too much. People need to understand why cannabis works in the human body. And it's fascinating once you dive in. And that will really help you stand firm when you're out there talking about it because there's so many naysayers. If you understand this plant on a deep level, you just get to walk around like, yeah, I got my shit figured out. Like, come at me. These modules at the beginning of the class are designed to do exactly that. But they're not just designed to teach you about the power of this plant. More importantly, we talk a lot in this program about how are we going to deliver this information to the communities that need it from us so that they can use what we're sharing and have those transformations that are so important. And you get a hands-on experience in this program, answering questions, talking about different science concepts, sharing content, for example, so that you have lots of practice before you get out there in the world. You will actually leave this module as a full-blown cannabis expert. And I don't say that lightly. This is me as an elementary school teacher teaching physicians about the science behind the plant. Now, I went super deep, right, on it before I taught the physicians, but when you come out of this, you're going to know more than definitely the average human on the planet. And you're going to know significantly more than most healthcare professionals, which is still a really sad state that we are in. And it will feel so powerful to know all of this. More importantly, you're never going to wonder again, you're never going to have that niggly thought in the back of your head of like, I don't know if what I'm going to tell you is true or if it's safe or if it's still up to date. We teach you ways of talking about this plant again that are legal and ethical. And we teach you how to continue your education in the science of cannabis so that you are always up to date. So in this first part of the program, we learn about cannabis anatomy. We learn about all the different compounds that this plant offers. Did you know that there's over 150 different cannabinoids in the plant alone? And we are just starting to scratch the surface. We get to understand the endocannabinoid system, which is how the plant works in our body. And we even learn about the endocannabinoid dome. I always struggle when I'm going to say that one, which is a newer concept and it's fascinating. So you'll understand why this works. Why does this help with all these different problems it helps with? You'll also learn about endocannabinoid dysfunction, which a lot of people in 2026 are walking around with and have no idea, and you'll learn what to do about it. We also talk about client care and how to guide people educationally, again, in an ethical way. And importantly, we give lots of information around how to guide people around product selection, dosage. That's the huge one. Ratios, ingestion methods, timing, tracking, all of those things so that you can really help your client. Joy said, I learned so much. I thought I already knew so much and I learned so much. And we get that a lot in here. Tanacha said, I just learned more about the plant in a 16-minute video that I did bud tending for 2 years. You also get our client readiness workshop. This workshop specifically prepares you to take on those one-to-one or small group clients because you learn about foundations in coaching and how to actually help your clients affect behavior change. And again, here we are, ethics and legalities. It's so cool how knowing how to stay in your lane actually frees you up to talk about this plant so much more widely because you're not worried about stepping out of your lane. We also give you everything that you need to run your own cannabis coaching business, a 2-session cannabis coaching package. That's like the exact program that I run with my clients and have for years. I mean, you get everything. You get the scripts, you get the handouts, you get the emails, you get everything done for you. Again, because we want you out there sharing this information with your clients as soon as possible. And we don't want you to have to try to make up anything to do that. Amy got her first paying client. Really, I think she got her first paying client when she was still in the program. We also, importantly, give you a client contract template. Now, this isn't a substitute for legal advice. This is what Corinne used when she started her cannabis coaching business, but it is a way to save you literally thousands of dollars that you can use, and you can take to your lawyer and say, hey, model something after that if you decide to go that route. But again, you just have it in your hot little hands. Having that contract also gives you a lot of confidence. Again, because you're not going to step out of your own lane and you know how to keep everything above board. This is one of our beautiful graduates, Kristen, and she said, I have had 10 clients thus far. Their ailments range from MS and fibromyalgia to Parkinson's. And each one of them was thrilled that there was such a thing as a cannabis coach when they decided to look into this plant medicine to help with their health challenges. I've heard that so many times. You're a what? Cannabis coach? Oh my God, I need that. And then once you're all fired up with all this cannabis knowledge and you just want to get out there and share it with the whole world, in pops Corinne.
In pops Corinne. Yeah, let me say this before I go into talking about what we're going to learn in the business model. And that is, I had no business experience when I first started this. I did not. Again, I was like Andrea. I didn't want to start a business. I was a farmer. I was a yoga teacher. I was very steeped in health and wellness, and I was a freelance writer. But I had to learn how to grow a business, how to create opportunities to do this work because they just weren't there at the time. So I learned this by default. I had to. And one of the things that I love is that I've fallen in love with the process of turning this whole thing into a business because you're going to be so enthusiastic and it's going to be so exciting at first, right? And you can really burn out if you keep going and going and going and you're not receiving anything back. And so what I want to do is I want to give you the tools so that you can receive as well. So again, you're going to be bursting at the seams, and I want you to go out there and share. But I also want to make sure that if you need to, for those of you who know that you want to make this your full-time job, that you can do that. Now, we pride ourselves on having the most comprehensive business building curriculum in cannabis. And that's true. People do come to us. We have people who've gotten master's degrees that come and say, I don't know how to turn this into a functioning business. And in this course, we share everything with you, again, that we made for our own businesses, for our students in the past 13 years. Nothing that doesn't work. We've done plenty that doesn't work, that doesn't make the cut, right? We try a lot of stuff, and if it doesn't fly, and if it doesn't support you and your mission, then we don't put it in here. Now, everything is step-by-step and templated, so you don't even have to start from scratch, no matter what it is that you want to create. Andrea and I started on a mission by ourselves a few years ago, okay, we're going to tackle a thing, we're going to do it until it's successful, until it makes us money. We're going to take everything we've learned and put it into a module, right? And so here's what's included in there. The Open for Business workshop, which has information on payment processing, which is tricky for anybody in plant medicine, whether or not to start an LLC, and especially what to name it, your business checklist, and we're going to help you avoid the biggest mistake that new cannabis business owners make that we've seen over and over again. Like Andrea has seen it all. We've seen it all. We've seen wackadoo logos that are like wildly like inappropriate. We've seen like names that will get you shadow banned, blacklisted from payment processing. We've seen all sorts of stuff. So we show you how to avoid those things really simply. That way you can go out and start taking payments for what it is that you're doing. So not only do we help you set up your business, we also give you 3 bonuses that will help you build your business quickly. So the first one is the building a profitable cannabis affiliate business. This is something that I'm sharing with you for my 6-figure affiliate marketing business. So I started out, I had nothing, I had a cookbook and I had nothing else. And I found a product that I absolutely loved and I started recommending that to people. And it went on to build most of my career. And that's before I started doing coaching and before I started expanding my business. So I want to share everything from you. This is really great because you can create a passive income. It can be for things that you absolutely love. Like I work with a really great biodynamic organic hemp company that's family run. Like there are vaporizer, dryer vaporizer companies that you can work with so that, you can help people get away from smoking and get away from combustion or using vape pens and into that as well. So these are, again, it's a great way to be able to support people on their changes and in their journey, and also support you without having to charge them for anything, right? Or if you don't already have a product or a course or anything like that. You'll also get the cannabis workshop kit. This is something that Andrea created when she created her cannabis club. Now, Andrea was in a town of 1,200, is still in a town of 1,200 people. So when people are like, my town is too small, I always point to Andrea and what she had done here with the workshop kit. Do you want to talk about it, Andrea?
Yeah, one of the things I did when I got all this knowledge was I wanted to make a change in my own community, and I just moved to this really tiny town from a much bigger city. And so I started a women's cannabis club, and I didn't know what was going to happen with it. Every week or every month, I taught about a different topic, and then we sat around and enjoyed the plant and got to know each other. And people started to change. They started to sleep better. Their husband's pain started to dissipate, and I could see the ripple effect in my own community. I made a lot of money doing this because it was so popular. I was able to turn this into a pretty valuable side hustle for me. And I took everything that I did in those workshops and creating the club and everything that you need in order to do this, and I packaged it for you. So you get 14 done for you workshops that you can teach online or in person. And that module includes everything you need to know about, like how to plan the workshop or how to adjust it to make it yours, how to price it, how to promote it, etc. And again, like Corinne said, it's got everything that you need in there already done. We want you to get on the ground running. The other bonus that we have in here is also from a retreat that I sold out. We call it the retreat in a box. And basically, it's everything that you need in order to be able to host your first 1 to 5 day cannabis wellness retreat. And again, we're talking everything: pricing, finding locations, how to sell out your retreat. We give you the spreadsheets, we give you the workbooks, we give you everything to keep you organized and profitable. If that's something that lights up your heart. And I did see that a couple of times in the chat. You're also going to get 6 live mentorship calls with Corinne and I. That's a great time for students to ask their questions, get support, meet each other. They're lovely. They're magical calls. You also get support in our community for 6 months. So ask a question, it'll be answered. Post something that you're not sure about, we'll help you clarify it. You get free lifetime access to the training program. So once you finish, when you're a year out and you want to go back and reference that lesson on CBG, it's there for you. It's also there for you after a year. We have a wonderful workshop specifically designed for how to work with cannabis and cancer. That is a very nuanced topic. And we have a reading list because I'm a book nerd and I'm always trying to recommend books to people. So that's in there as well.
Okay. I would love to recap all this for you. I'm going to remind you of everything that you're going to get. You'll get the Success Primer Series, AKA Orientation, the fully comprehensive cannabis science training, the client readiness workshop, the client contract templates, the done for you 2-session cannabis consultation package, the open for business workshop, a pricing your programs masterclass, so you'll know what to charge for your workshops and for everything that you're creating. 6 live Q&A mentorships calls with founders and faculty, community support for 6 months, the Cannabis and Cancer Workshop, free lifetime access to your training program in the online Cannabis Professional Network, the faculty-approved reading list. The bonus is building a profitable cannabis affiliate business, the 14 Done For You workshops, and the retreat in the box. And we're also internationally accredited. The Cannabis Institute is accredited by the International Practitioners of Holistic Medicine. Again, this is an international accreditation organization in the health and wellness field. So that makes it easy for our students to get certified and recognized as leaders in this field. So you don't just get our badge and our stamp of approval. It was important for us to have a third-party organization for you to also get accredited through. I also wanted to add that there is another bonus, a special bonus for this class. So again, I told you before, like we usually tackle something. So we make a podcast and we figure out how that works, and we do YouTube and figure out how that works. Andrea does retreat. And I have recently tackled Instagram. Some of you are here from that recent growth. In the past 48 hours, we've grown 20,000 followers and, tons and tons of comments of people who wanted to engage with this class and other classes of ours. I've also been able to sell $300 a day in just cookbooks and cooking classes through that platform. And so I figured out a way that works. Now, for ages, I said, no, cannabis professionals should not be on Instagram. It's a waste of time for a couple of reasons. And one of those reasons was that you could get shut down or shadow banned. Now, a few months ago, I think it was middle of last year, there was talk that they were going to become more lax on this. So we started testing and started doing things to figure out if that was the case. And it has been the case. There doesn't appear to be shadow bans. We still have to be careful about what you say, just like you always do as a cannabis educator and as a cannabis coach. But this world has opened up and has created a whole new way of reaching audiences and getting the word out about this. And so we're teaching a special workshop that is, I believe it's next month. Yes, next month. 2 months. Okay. Well, it's very soon, very soon. And I'm going to share what I've learned in going from 6,000 followers, which is what I had before. I had a pretty I was posting pictures of my kid and dog and whatever, and now to a really robust, very active, social media presence that's really reaching people, that's making money, that's doing the thing. So it's doing both things, which I love it when it does both, when it can support the work and the mission and it can get out there and help people. And waking up to those messages from people who are like, oh my gosh, this helps so much. I'm so glad I found your content. I just had one as I was checking to try to send somebody a link to get in here. And they were like, I was scrolling through just as I was thinking, I really want to change my relationship to this plant. I know it helps, but I'm not using it in a way that it's helping me. Those kinds of messages and what we were talking about before, that 83% to 17% shift that I would like to make and I'd like to see happen in the next decade, that is so exciting and so beautiful to me. And so we're going to share that with you as well, incorporate that into the training program from here on out. So didn't want to forget that part. Now the total value, when we add up the whole class, is $13,590. Now I have spent well over $40,000 and counting in other trainings in making sure that the contracts are above board. It's making sure that these things actually work, right? And I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy to really take all of that time to do all these disparate trainings and to invest that much money into really getting out there and feeling confident in doing this. And that's why we put all this together. And that's why we test this ourselves so that you don't have to. So for today, our tuition is $29.97. So you get all of that and all the support. But for the next 72 hours, we do have a coupon code. It's workshop for $1,000 off. So you can save $1,000, making only $19.97. Again, you get all of that stuff, everything, and the support. And most importantly, you will be out there doing this work. When Andrea said before that we have a guarantee that we don't take this lightly. We know that you investing your time and energy and money to do this, we want you to have the level of success that you want to have. And so we will work with you until you reach that goal, whatever that goal is for yourself. We're not going to leave you hanging. We also have payment plans, 6 and 12 months, so you can extend your tuition as well. We have some student experiences here. We actually have a ton of student experiences. We got one from Rose that said, I reached my goal of paying off the program before I finished it. My first paying client starts tomorrow. Now I can celebrate my first paid client that isn't a friend or relative. Woohoo, just got another paying client. This plant needs you. Your people need you. Go ahead and sign up today and get started.
All right. Thank you so much. We're here for questions
Questions, yeah.
yeah, we want to
Yeah.
know what kind of questions you have. We might have missed some in the chat. I'm sure that we have. Megan says, how long is the training? Great question. We actually just opened it up not too long ago. It used to be that you got one set of lessons every week, and then you went through the program. You could be done in, most people finished it within about 3 months. But Corinne and I are both, on the ADHD spectrum, and we were like, that would drive us nuts. So the program's open for you. You can go through it at your own pace. Again, most people can finish it at about 3 months, but you do have 6 full months of support on the calls, support in the community. So you have quite a long time to get through those requirements if that's the pace that you want to go. We are here for you to take this class, how it works for you best, so that you can get out there and get certified and help.
Awesome. Any other questions? How does spiritual work? So that's an amazing question, Ben. Thank you so much for asking. So much of the program is structured in a way that we're doing everything science-based, right? We really want it to be grounded in science, but we give you the flexibility to take it in whatever direction you want. And we have resources for that as well. So on the book list, we have resources for cannabis and spirituality. We have tons of students that go in that direction. So we wanted to keep it as choose your own adventure as humanly possible. So we have students that are teaching meditation. I've taught meditation. I have one on YouTube that just goes bananas and is doing really well. And so again, we give you the knowledge and the foundation, and then you take that and add your special sauce with whatever resources that you want to include in that. We don't specifically talk about spiritual or energetics of the plant, although we could on a mentorship and Q&A call, and I would love to geek out on that, but it's just not part of the program because we really are trying to keep it again, just like everything can be fact checked in the program, right? Like we want to make sure that you feel so confident in the things that you know. So even if you're talking about the most woo stuff, you go so far out and someone goes, oh, well, what about this? And you go, oh, I know how to talk about the endocannabinoid system. And they're connected. And it really, I think, is such a beautiful thing to be able to take those ideas and those experiences and those concepts and then ground them into people's lived experiences and into their physical reality as well. And so I think that there's this beautiful juxtaposition between like you being free to go and explore it in whatever way you want to, and also still being able to connect people back to their human lived reality. Does that make sense?
And we love the woo. We're
We
big on the woo.
love
We
the
talk about it. We do
woo.
talk about it in the program that a lot of your intuition when working with people is coming from that space of woo. And something that we didn't do maybe a great job of talking about in the slide deck is that alongside the science program every week that you're getting at the beginning of the course, there's also a mindset lesson there, because we know from teaching all these people that oftentimes it's like a niggly thought in your head that makes you not do the thing, not post the video, not write the blog, not tell your Aunt Tina that you think CBD is cool. And that can't stop you. We can't have you being stopped by those niggly thoughts. And so there's a comprehensive mindset curriculum in the program to help keep you on track, to help you grounded in what you know your truth is, to help you gain and hold on to your power as you're out there talking about it. And that part of the program, but sometimes it's the most impactful part of the program for people. They have big transformations in their own life, their own mindset. Their brain isn't trying to trick them with, negative thoughts all the time. So this is important.
Some of our students say it's the most important part. I think, yeah, most of our students mention the mindset it being like a cornerstone. And when I think about the students who have taken this like way far, but I'm thinking about Takesha, who started out the program as a hairdresser. She was a stay-at-home mom, and now she, without any advanced degrees or anything, she was, cannabis educator of the year in Connecticut in her first year. She went on to shape policy in her state for social equity. She went on to become a witness, a paid expert witness, and was like paid to talk to courts about cannabis science. And then she became an adjunct professor for CUNY, and now she's a professor at NYU. And when I think about her and her trajectory, like the mindset stuff. She was focused on it in the course. She was like focused on it. It kept coming back around for her. She really worked that aspect of her, is like freeing her up from her own limiting stuff and her own beliefs about cannabis and her own beliefs about what she was able to achieve and how people would perceive, like all of these things that come in, like as you're doing this work. And for any of you who already have a business, for a fact this stuff is going to come up for you, right? I still think it's the most spiritual journey that you can take, is having a business and like showing up when you don't want to, when you're tired, when you're whatever, and when the things in your head say like, this isn't going to work, everyone's going to hate it, whatever it is, like those things that keep us stuck, right? And keep us from sharing this thing that we're passionate about and supporting others. I'm not healed enough. I don't know enough, right? Like I'm not blank enough. We want to make sure that you address those early on and often and always, because as you start to grow and you continue to see success in these things, or to have challenges or to have pushback, right? Like from that judgy Aunt Donna or whoever, there's going to be somebody who's like, "Nuh-uh, bruh," like whatever. Like that stuff is going to come up, and it's such a beautiful mirror to heal those things that we're just like hanging out in the back. And it's also so nice that when they come up, and they are inevitable, when they come up, you have tools. Like you have a tool in your back pocket. You go, "Oh, I know what this is. I know how to address it. Let's do that and move on." Like it is so necessary. Again, like I spent a lot of time, and I will say like the majority of my time as I was transitioning from like, teaching people about this plant to then starting to coach and help others with it, like such a big chunk of that was done. It was time spent in mindset work and like really learning how to show up and how to not let these things, or not like getting triggered by these certain things, get in the way of me helping someone else. And again, like we don't kid, but that we share everything with you that worked. Like there's so much stuff that we didn't work, that didn't make that got left on the cutting floor. But mindset is one of them. The productivity tools are one of them. Like these kinds of things will set you up for success, not only in this, but I know some of you have other businesses as well. Like it will support you in all of those things that you want to do in all those areas. And it has for us, and it has for our students. And if you join us, which I hope you will, some of you are like so stoked about helping other people with this plant. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of people lose that stoke when they walk out the door, right? When they're not in a community, when they're not in an environment where they're like-minded and they're like, you get to yes and each other's stuff, like, "Oh yeah, that's really cool. Let's geek out a little bit further." When you go into like the world that is less excited and less mission based, like it's easy to lose that stoke. It's easy to walk out and just go like, "Oh yeah, that was really cool." Like, "Oh yeah, that was a thing that I wanted to do." And we've seen that. Like people who don't join this class contact me next year. They show up to the class next year, right? Like we have seen this cycle of people like, "Oh, I was really excited and then I lost it for whatever reason." If you are really excited and this is work that you want to do, let's go. Let's do it. February is the best for this. And thank you for bearing with us when we've had like so many tech issues and like running around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to figure this out, and been sleepy. But like we're really grateful that you're here and would love to be on this journey with you, and keep growing this thing so we can fill that gap, and like we don't have to have that conversation anymore. I told Andrea like forever ago, it's like, "Oh, in 5 years, we're not going to have a job." And it's like only gotten to be more. Like there's only a bigger gap. Like I just keep watching this chasm widen of misunderstanding around this plant. And I just like can't with it anymore. So if you feel the same way that I do, and you want to do this, it's fun work. And it's a beautiful place to be right now. It's a beautiful thing to be able to stand there and have these opportunities and have these interesting conversations with folks that can change their lives about the coolest plant that's ever existed on the face of the planet. Let's be real. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks so much for being here. Yeah, thanks everybody.